Hey, Dental Speaker Institute members. Excited to be here today to talk with you and Dr. Dave Striegel about an important workshop that we think you'll find valuable. I'm going to take those off so I don't keep looking at the ring light in my glasses. Um, in the post-conference session from Jumpstart, you'll likely remember that Dr. Dave talked about fear of forgetting our presentations, being on the stage and forgetting what we were going to say as being the number one fear that most dental speakers have. And I know I worry about that to the point where I feel like I have to have my notes or I have to have it memorized. I think it's really common from what I've heard with others. And Dave presented a really exceptional post-conference session for us where he shared with us some good tips around performing under pressure. And he has a full day workshop on this topic. And I know several of you have mentioned to me how much you appreciated that session. And we thought it would be helpful to come and tell you just a little bit more about that full day virtual workshop, which is going to be happening at the end of March, March 26th. And again, it's virtual, which makes it super easy to attend. But I asked Dave here to, just share a little bit more about what are the challenges that dental speakers would be experiencing that this workshop can help, and how can he help us with this particular workshop. So with that, I want to cue up Dr. Dave, and we're just doing this on the fly without a real serious agenda. So I'm just realizing we didn't really talk about any kind of introduction. I'm assuming everybody knows you, but maybe you could just give us a little brief little bit about you two in here, Dave.
Sure.
I'm going to say, take it away.
Well, thank you, Vanessa, very much for the opportunity, first of all. And a little bit about myself. Again, my name's Dr. Dave Striegel, and I am a performance coach for the last almost 13 years in dentistry. However, I started my career in the world of professional sports. And that's where my education is. I have a PhD in sports psychology, but really what that means is it's this psychology of performance, and specifically the psychology of performance under pressure. And so many of my dental clients ask, well, how did you get here from there? And the short answer is, you probably wouldn't believe it. But the longer answer is that I had the opportunity to get to know some dentists back about 25 years ago who were interested in performance. And that was really my first introduction to the field of dentistry and how what I was teaching athletes could apply to them. And then fast forward about 15 years ago, I reconnected with a longtime friend of mine who was in the dental field. And he said, the type of work you do with athletes and executives could really benefit my dental clients. And so ever since then, I've really been immersed in dentistry and just absolutely love it. And so really what this course is about taking those things that I've worked with athletes and high performing individuals in other arenas and applying it to those in the dental profession who want to really excel at speaking. We get a lot of education and training on the creating the presentation and structuring it and the actual presenting yourself. However, what I found is could really be beneficial if there was a missing link was on how to prepare your brain and your body, both physically and mentally, to be able to have that content and that expertise really come to fruition and show up when you want it most. And to be able to adjust on the fly when things go sideways. And so in the post-conference session, when I asked the question of the attendees, what's your greatest fear with speaking? And by far, their greatest fear was forgetting their presentation or forgetting what they were going to say. And that's also very common. And, I suffer from the same fear sometimes too. And what I found is that, and this is just one of the tips that I've included in the workshop, is to look at your presentations as a freeway with guardrails. And depending on the nature of your presentation and how confident you are with the content, you can broaden the guardrails. And the guardrails serve as an outline. So if you have an outline of your content, that really is the equivalent of your guardrails. And then you allow yourself a lot of room to navigate within those guardrails, depending on what you either think of as you're speaking, a question someone might ask, something that might happen. I've had it happen where I've been in the middle of a presentation. I think of something I haven't thought of for 10 years. But for some reason, something was relevant from back then to now, and then I'm able to bring it in. And the only reason I can do that is because I look at it as a guardrail,
Mm,
as opposed to I have to follow this structure and
that's
I'm locked
freeing,
in. It is. And
right?
that's really, you just hit on it, Vanessa, because the idea of it being freeing is where I find that high level elite performance really resides. It's that feeling
Yeah.
of freedom that, look, I've got this. I've got my outline, but let
Yeah.
me really pay attention to what the audience is giving me and what they're saying, and even what I'm seeing in their body language or their reactions. And let me maybe take a little bit of a detour. But I can take that detour knowing that I'm not going to get totally off track. I can bring it back whenever I want. That to me is really what leads to special performances.
And that makes you appear more as a speaker, like that you're very much an elite speaker, right? That you can kind of wax and wane. You can like what's the word would be like contract and expand depending upon what the audience is looking for. Whereas in your mind, you know what you still need to cover. I love that. It makes me think too about how it'll feel more like a conversation versus we can all tell when someone has memorized every word and every action and every step, and it just doesn't feel as authentic. I just love how freeing this is. So in the workshop, we will learn some techniques that help us be able to, like, it sounds like hit our stride a little faster, right? Like to be able to relax and show up.
Yeah, and a lot of that work is done in preparation. So one of the concepts, and I do want to make a key point about the fact that my background may have come from sports doesn't mean you have to be an athlete or even like sports or know anything about sports to really benefit from those principles and strategies that elite athletes use. If you happen to have an interest in sports, then that's great too, because then we can use analogies and examples that relate to the sports world.
That's
But
awesome.
the idea of being prepared in such a way that regardless of what happens, you want to talk about freedom. If you're confident, no matter what happens, let's say the electricity goes out, or let's say you lose your computer, let's say something else happened, there's a fire alarm. Those of us who've been doing this long enough have had fire alarms go off in the middle of presentations. Everybody has to exit, then you have to come back in, and then you have to figure out a way to get the energy back up and start where you were. That's something that you don't always prepare for. But the more that you can have in mind a plan, really, and I find in three different ways. One is for success. So the first is I like for people to envision and practice things going really well, because that at least gives you an idea of how you want it to flow. But then the second level plan is if things just go a little sideways. So there's a little bit of a detour, there's a little bit of a distraction, something, maybe there's even some person in the audience who's trying to throw you off, something like that, that's just a little unplanned, a little unusual. What do you do then? And then the third plan is if there's a disaster. It
Mm.
could be you totally had a mental block and you totally lost your place and you needed to reboot. It could be something literally did happen that was unusual in the venue. Or let's say someone gets sick in the audience and we have to pause in order for there to be a medical reaction to that. All those things can happen. And the more that you prepare for the alternatives, I find the more your confidence is, and you can walk in owning the place.
Because you've thought it through ahead of time. I would never have thought of that. To just to pre-think it and I cannot wait for this. As I'm hearing you talk about it, I'm getting so excited to join you March 26th for this full day virtual workshop. It's a elective under presentation skills in our curriculum for the fellowship. So the Dental Speaker Institute Fellowship Program, this is an elective under presentation skills for our candidates out there who are participating in the course. It is a 6-hour virtual course. And as I'm also a candidate walking my way toward fellowship with several of our colleagues, um, I'm just so excited to be there because it's not about how to write your speech. It's not about which way to look or turn or that sort of thing. It's really more a mindset game. It's really more it's a confidence builder. It's a what we do ahead of time to be able to be in the zone and to be okay with it. I mean, I'm already picturing just like the breathing you do ahead of time, or I don't even know what you're going to teach us
Well, and
yet.
but that's part of it because what you think is influenced by your body, and you think about it. Really, what we're trying to monitor and manage is our brain,
Yeah.
and so part of the course will be teaching skills that we're able to better manage our brains as we lead up to the presentation and even during, and
Mm,
and then also be able to deal with the inevitable hiccups that we all face and not be afraid of them.
exactly.
So
We've heard great advice from different speech coaches over the years, and one that it makes me think of is they just want to know you're okay with what's going on. And so even if it's clear that you forgot everything you were going to say, even to just be able to have pre-think through a way to laugh about it or handle something just eases that pressure. And um, I'm really seriously looking so forward to this, Dave. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with our candidates and all of our DSI members. All speakers are welcome to attend. Can I share a little bit of detail on how we can find this course?
of
Would
course,
this be a good time?
yeah,
And for our Facebook Live, our Facebook audience, I'll put it in the comments down below. Um, the website is Dr. Dave Striegel, Striegel, drdavestriegel.com. Under the first tab, which is, second tab, speaking, is the second submenu, perform under pressure workshop. Will get you right to the right place. It's a full day, 7 a.m. Pacific. That's early.
really for us on the West Coast.
For us on the West Coast and at 10 Eastern. So March 26th, 7 to 3. And it is virtual. You can claim your seat there. And I know this will be, you're shooting for a small group, so limited attendance, and we should register soon if we
Yeah,
want to.
the I find that this type of workshop does better with when we're able to, and the objective too is I'm going to put you through your paces at times. You're actually going to be asked to perform.
Ooh,
Now, not in a grand sense, and there's nothing you need to prepare for, but you'll be asked to perform because that's really what this course is designed to help you get
yeah,
ready to do.
awesome. That is great. And so I will put all the details in the feed. Dr. Dave has generously offered a discount with discount code FDSI, which stands for Fellow Dental Speaker Institute, FDSI 10. So FDSI 10. When you go into the shopping cart, it's at the very top before you put your name in. You put that in, and that will discount 10% off for any speaker who would like to participate. And that's so generous. Thank you, Dave, for sharing that with us. And you can reach out to Dave to find out more at drdavestreigel@gmail.com. Dr. Dave
Correct. Yeah.
Striegel at gmail.com. Before we run, is there anything we haven't chatted about that would be important for someone who's considering the course to know about this course?
Well, yes, I think so. It's not this course in particular. You don't necessarily have to be at the end of your training to benefit from it because there's a great deal of transfer in the world of sports science. We call that transfer to different skills and different elements of your career. So the what I like to teach are things that transfer to as many other aspects of our lives as possible. So while we're using the venue of speaking in front of groups, it's really about performing in any facet of your career. So I just don't want people to feel like, oh, it's only for this and I have to wait. So that's the key kind of takeaway
Awesome.
that I'd like to leave.
That's awesome. And that made me think already. I'm thinking of other applications in our personal lives, even where, like as a parent, it can
Well,
be
like, the
helpful to
truth is we all perform. I mean,
yes.
and if we have a situation that we want a consistent result in, and that pretty much applies to most of what we do, then I view it as we perform, and there may be an opportunity to prepare in a certain way,
Mm,
physically, mentally, emotionally, in order to get the best result when we want
mm.
it.
Oh, this is awesome. Really great information. So looking forward to it. Dave, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a faculty member with DSI. And drdavestriegel.com/workshop will get you right to the right place.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.